everyone, and sorry for not making videos recently. I'm gonna be posting maybe another Just Cause video. I didn't post any before. It'll be on Just Cause 3, probably liberating the hardest province in the game. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, I have a Gamerev tutorial for those who care. This one's gonna be on, I'm basically redoing automatic firing because the one before, it doesn't work with a lot of stuff. It just doesn't allow you to do, it's not flexible enough for games nowadays. So and I'll also be talking about arrays, and we might set up an array if we have time. So this might be a little bit of a longer tutorial, but just stay with me, and I'm going to teach you about arrays and shooting. Alright, so first off, what we want to do is we want to create a bullet. So literally, bullets are so small, you could go with a square, you could go with a circle, any color you want. my bullet's going to be 8 by 8, and I'm going to go with a circle that is black, because that's, you're not even going to see it. And I'm going to center that, and now we can create the bullet and make it solid. And of course, in the create event, obviously you want the bullet to move towards your mouse whenever you shoot. You don't want it to just go in a random one direction. So what we're going to do is we're going to say move towards point, which is moving towards point, obviously. It's going to be mouse underscore X, that's the X coordinates of your mouse, and mouse underscore Y, which is the Y coordinates of your mouse. And the speed, SP, you can make this whatever you want. I'm going to do 15 so we can see it easily. I'll just add a quick comment here. There we go. Alright, that's basically it, and all we need now is, so that we don't hog up a bunch of CPU, add event other outside of room, and simply just do instance destroy, because you don't want a bunch of bullets going on forever outside of your room. And there we go. Now on the player, we need to set up this. Oh, by the way, right now I just have in the create event simple HP variable, which isn't even being used at all. We have rotation. You're rotating towards the mouse right now, and the movement script is very basic. This is up and down, this is left and right at a speed of 4 or 5, might be 5. Anyway, I'm just running that script here so that it doesn't use a bunch of our unnecessary space in our step event here. So now we're going to do firing. But first, what we need to do is go into the create event and set up another variable called cooldown. Now this is for whenever we start doing arrays, we're going to change this, but I'm going to show you how this works just in the meantime. So cooldown is going to equal 0. I know before in my other tutorial we set this as 0.20 or something that we needed. That's the amount of time that you want it to do, in between each bullet. We're not doing that here. We're going to actually define that in the step event, and there's no alarms in this either. So in firing, we're going to do if mouse check button. Now you don't want to do pressed, because then you're going to have to single fire. It's going to be semi-auto and you're going to have to keep clicking. So we're going to do MB left, because it's your left mouse button. Then what we want to do, and we're going to say up here and cooldown is less than 0. So if the cooldown is less than 0, this is going to happen also. So it's if you press your left mouse button and the cooldown is less than 0, then it's going to do this. You don't want it to be less than or equal to, because then it's literally, you're going to be able to keep firing because we set it as 0 in the create event. So we want to go ahead and do this, and we're going to say instance create. Now we're not going to do precise bullet firing, which means it's going to come out of the tip of the gun. We're not going to do that. Just for today, I'm going to show you just the simple just instance create, it'll be at the X and Y of your player. So XY obj bullet. So now it created that. Now what we need to do is we're going to say cooldown equals, and now this is what you want your cooldown to be. This is the amount of time you want in between each bullet. And I'm going to tell you right now that since it's every step of the game, not an alarm, it's going to be a much faster rate if you have it depends on your room speed too, because if you have your room speed set for 30 FPS, then the steps that you're going to have is going to be a lot slower. It won't take as long. If you have it set for 60 or 120, then you're going to have to make this even greater so that you don't have like crazy rate of fire. So now I'm going to set this just to 5 for now, because that's easy. And then outside of this if statement, so not in here but right out here outside of the brackets, just put cooldown minus equals I guess 1. Okay, so now basically every 5, of course it's going to be faster, so every 2.5 seconds, probably 0.5 seconds, you'll be able to fire a bullet. So, and then outside of here, remember we said if the cooldown is less than 0, it's going to keep, cooldown is going to keep subtracting whenever you're not firing, so then it'll be less than 0 by the time you want to fire. And trust me, this works pretty well. So if I did everything correct, this should work now. Let's go ahead and play. It doesn't work, probably mess something up. Alright, so I just made a simple menu. So if you click play, there we go, rapid firing. And you can single fire too, and of course you can rapid fire however you want. So that's the rapid firing. Now let's talk about some arrays. So an array is basically a way of storing data, and we're just going to create one of those. It's really simple. I just learned this and it's pretty handy. So a couple things we have to do is while I'm loading up another project, so I don't mess up on this, I'm just going to look at the way I coded it on the other one. But in the meantime, I'm going to have a little diagram up on the screen on how a array works, which basically it's just a way of storing data. We're going to be using a 2D array, so basically if you think of an X and Y coordinate, instead of X and Y, it's actually going to be 2 different like data points, I guess you could say. Okay, so here's how this array is going to work. I'm just going to make a little note there. This is the weapon array. So how this is going to work is you're going to have stuff like this. So I is going to be our variable here in this case, and then here is going to be a number. So I is going to be kind of what weapon it is, what object it is, but no, you don't type that out. It'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, stuff like that. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, stuff like that. So then of course you need an X and a Y, and I'm just going to explain it like that. So this is your X here, and this is your Y here. So in this case, this 0 here is what you want I to equal in this case. So it's kind of confusing, but in this case, why did I do that? Name. So we're going to make I0 the name. Like, this is all just examples. So then I1 would be, you know, your sprite index, for example. Then I2 would be your rate of fire, which in this case is the cooldown. So I'm just going to put that in parentheses. It's your cooldown. Then you'd have I3 and that would be, say, your ammo. But you know, you could set up so many things, but yeah, it's totally normal, I guess. So this would be your bullet that you create. We're gonna create different bullets. So that's all we have in our array, and we're not even going to use the name, so you could take that out if you wanted, but I'm not going to. So now we need to set up for an empty array. So set up for empty array. So now you don't get errors whenever you don't have a gun. It'll just know that, you know, you don't have a weapon, and it's going to be 0. So we're going to set up a for statement. Basically, if the first one isn't true, then it's going to look at the third one, and then the second one. So it's kind of like first in, first out type thing, I guess. So I equals 0, I is less than global dot weapon, which is going to, we have to set that up in the shop if we're going to make a small shop, which I already set that up. So I plus plus. Now we have to set up for in here too, so we're going to do another for statement, and basically this is like I and J up here, so it'd be I and J, that type of thing. So for, now we're going to do it for J, so J equals 0. Now J less than, this is going to be how many weapons you have plus 1. So if you have 7 weapons, you need to set this for 8. If you have 2 weapons, you need to set this for 3, because we're adding for an empty array also. So I'm just going to do 2 weapons for this example, and you can add it for so many weapons if you wanted to, but this is just, it's easier for a tutorial and it's a time saver. So J is going to be less than 3. Now we need to do J plus plus. And now in here, the last little part, we're going to do global dot weapon array I and J equals 0. There we go. So that's done for the empty array. So now we're going to set up different weapons here. We're just going to do weapon 1, and this is how you set up an array. So what you want to do is you need to define the array you're adding to first. So in this case, we're going to set it up as a global weapon array, because that's what we had in this for statement. So we're going to do global dot weapon array, and then you want to add in the data points here, the data points. So it'd be this type of thing, but I is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, stuff like that. So the name is going to be 0, 1, or 0, 0, I should say. That this would be weapon 0. But since we set up in this for if you don't have a weapon, it's 0, we need to set this up for 1. So now that's going to equal, oh my gosh, I keep putting a minus sign, weapon 1. So now we're going to keep adding data points to this. So this would be still 1, but then 1, because you're talking about this first weapon 1, and then you're adding another more data to it. Sorry, can't shut up. So sprite index, we really don't need to worry about that, so we can actually skip that. But in this case, I'm going to copy this just so it's easier to paste, and this I'm going to do 1, 2 now. So this is the cooldown, and you could set this to equal whatever you want. We had 5. I'm going to set that as 5. Now if we go ahead and if we do the bullet, which is 3, I3, paste that, it's going to be 1, 3, and the bullet is obj bullet. So there we go. That's our first weapon array. You can set up sounds in here. You can set up sprite index, like I said. You can set up where the bullet comes out, all that stuff, and it's really handy whenever I show you how to do the rest of this. So now we're going to do the same for weapon 2. but we're going to create different certain things. So this is going to be weapon 2. Rate of fire, let's do really slow. So we'll set this as 8, or actually we could set that as 10, so it would be slower. And then bullet 2. And we still need to create this, so literally I'm just going to duplicate it. And I'm going to make this move way slower. It's going to be 5, just so you can see the difference. Alright, so now that we have that set up, that's our weapon array right here. Now, what you want to do in the player is in the create event, we're going to need to set up a variable for our weapon array and our cooldown. So the cooldown isn't going to equal 0 anymore. So what we're going to do is we're going to initialize our weapon array. So scr weapon array. There we go. Now cooldown, like I just said, isn't going to equal 0 anymore. We have to get it from the array. So how you get information from an array is really easy. You put in the array name, which in this case we had global dot weapon array. So it's our weapon array. Now we set up a variable called global.weapon, which in the shop we're going to assign this global.weapon a number, and that number is going to correspond with the weapon. So if you remember, 1 is weapon 1 and 2 is weapon 2, which I don't think we changed in this. These all have to be 2 in your script. So it'd be 1, 2. There we go. So now in this weapon array we're going to say global.weapon, because we have a weapon, and then we need to look for which point we are getting. So in this case we're getting the second point because we need the cooldown. So now if we type in 2, that's going to get the second point of the weapon that we have. So now that's your cooldown all set up. And this is how you would also set up for any other variables and such. So this is just variables. Alright. So now what we have to do, hold on, is in the step we have to change a couple of things because it's obviously not correct having cooldown to equal 5. So we want to basically refresh the value that we got from our array. So this is going to equal global.weapon array global.weapon 2. So this is basically what we had in the create event, which I guess it essentially is. So that's how that works. That's how your cooldown is getting put in from the array into your step event. That's how that works. So now let's go ahead and create buttons for our shop. So this is going to be really simple. This is going to be weapon 1, and how I'm going to do this is I'm not even going to make secondary sprites to make it like look like you're pressing a button or whatever. I'm literally just going to make it the most basic button ever. Weapon 1. Obviously, we're going to make that way smaller. Alright, and I just want to make that look like a button. There we go. So that's that. Now we got to add another one that says SPR weapon 2. We edit this. And if we make that look like a button by buttonizing it, there we go. There's our sprites for it, so let's create the object. So this is obj weapon 1. Now if we do add event mouse left pressed, we're going to say global dot weapon equals 1. And there we go. That's that. Now create another object, call this obj weapon 2. Add a mouse event, left pressed, add code, and we're going to say global dot weapon equals 2. There we go. So now, if we add in these buttons into our shop, we should be able to get a weapon corresponding to it. So always save your progress, click save, let's play, and we might get an error, we might get a couple problems, but that's no issue, we can change that. Alright, so now if we go to shop, whoops, I forgot one thing. We're gonna need, in the shop, we need this play button, and we'll just put that right there. Perfect. Alright, play, and let's see if this works. Alright, so if we go to shop, let's click weapon 2, click play. Alright, we have a slower rate of fire, and we have a slower bullet speed. So now if we go ahead and if we play this one more time and choose weapon 1, see, it's a lot faster, the bullets are a lot faster, the rate of fire is a lot faster. So that's how you make a weapon array and basic cooldown shooting or automatic firing. It's way easier like this, and hopefully you guys understood it well enough with my terrible explanations on things. I will hopefully those diagrams help you, and I will have more videos up soon. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.